trying to test out my new tripod family. I don't know how much of this you can see. I want to make sure. I don't know. Let's see. Islam family. It's like such a beautiful sunny day today. I felt the need, or I was inclined to do a Facebook Live today. I was inclined to do a Facebook Live today, Islam Wars, to talk about the United States Postal Service, the United States, the post office, the post office of Morocco, let's say, for lack of a better word. And I know a lot of people are feeling like their packages, they can't track their packages. It's a beautiful day today, y'all. It's supposed to be like 50 plus degrees down here in the Northeast, near Amexem, Philadelphia's territory. And I wanted to kind of just talk about, we have to be competent in the things that we do, and we can't always look for someone else to help us with a particular situation. But we can, like, when we talk about the post office and their responsibility, it is our job to hold them to those responsibilities. And we know the zip codes are not supposed to be on the mailing documents, because that doesn't denote to any location. To be honest, it's the latitude, longitudes, and it's the so-called residence. But they have hypothecated the residences, and now are making it seem like they can only mail to corporations. Let's say this. So they're trying to use their system to box you out of getting your parcels, right? Tax per queue is something that you can utilize, as well as the treaties, because we're not supposed to be paying any fees or feudal fees for the delivery of our international foreign private parcels that they are obligated to pass the port. They're obligated. Now, regardless of if they know that that's their jobs, and regardless of what their supervisors are telling them, or consumer affairs is telling them, it is their responsibility to pass the ports. So what are some of the ports? What are some of the post office ports that are obstructing, mail tampering, interceptions, holding? They're detaining. They're violating the Constitution. How are they violating the Constitution? Because we have to realize that the violation is seizing your documents. They're seizing your documents as they get pushed out, which is why we send the PDF versions of all of the documents to you. We send the PDF versions through the email system to you, so you have your documents, so you can continue to stand on your square, and you don't have to wait for the originals to come in the mail. Because the originals are supposed to be kept in your safe, or in a secure location within your home, and never to be utilized. You just bring it out when you want to make a copy of it, but the PDF versions are the supplement for that. So when I send you the PDF versions of your lawful name declarations and proclamations, it is your responsibility to print them out and send them to the 7 locations. Per the instructions. The instructions, you can download them from the service tab of the Moorish American Consulate website. That's www. Did I put too many W's in there? That's www.moorishamericanconsulate.org on the service tab, and it'll tell you the 7 locations to send your parcels, right? To send your packages. Now those locations is Donald Trump, Jeff Sessions, who's now retired from the Attorney General, so you would have to do a quick Google search to see who his replacement is in the Service Corporation. And the thing that you need to realize is through the through the general orders from the Pope to Obama, was to clarify positions, was to clarify authority, and to clarify who is who and what is what. Yes, Laurent, I will check yours, Laurent Sledge Bay, and if I've already processed yours should be in the email. This is also why it's so important for people to not just send me documents and then they don't give me no contact information, and all I have is a mailing location. Some people send me things and they don't give me a phone number. I don't get an email address. I don't have no way of contacting you but putting it back in the mail. Right, and put it back in the mail so it can pass the ports. But if you're not providing that information, I do make copies of everybody's name declaration proclamation, so you have it at your leisure, and it's emailed to you in a PDF. So you'll have that for your records until you have the original from your records. But right now, if it's as if they're not tracking it, which they're obligated to do. They're tracking it internally, family. They're not posting it on the United States Postal Service website for you to be able to track that document. That's, again, obstructing, because they're supposed to be scanning them in as they go to each port. But they are doing it. They're not putting it on the website so you can see it. And then when you go down to the post office, they're sitting and talk to the postmaster, who's the individual you should be talking to, not a manager, not a supervisor, the postmaster. And if the postmaster's not there, then that one, and it's only a manager, that is a service corporation facility. But again, the locations that are obstructing, completely obstructing because of mail tampering, human trafficking, what's the other one? Federal offense. When we send our parcels, whether we're sending them tax per queue, whether we're sending them treaty rights, whereas though we don't pay any feudal fees for the passing of our parcels from post to post, we don't pay any of those, and we don't have a form of lawful currency to pay anyway. And think about this, family: the post office service and all these other corporations were supposed to be paying us to be even dwelling and domiciling here. Yes, they do. But they're obstructing right now because they know the Moors are awoke and the government is here, and we are putting them on notice to who is in charge in Morocco. The sovereigns are in charge in Morocco, and when we give you a directive, your policies and your codes mean nothing if they violate the supreme laws of the land. If they violate your obligation to the nation, you get leaned for that. And you might even get deportation papers because you should not be obstructing. They're obstructing right now. They're obstructing through the zip exempt, right? You put zip exempt on your packages because the zip never was a part of the mailing location, right? And they have corporatized the mailing location into a so-called residence. So when you go to the post office and they tell you to do a change of address, here's what it is. Whatever is listed on that parcel, on that package to be delivered, they are not lawfully allowed, and it's through fraud how they seize your package and send it back to its original. They'll put UT undeliverable as addressed. They'll put return to sender. They'll put any of these things on documents. When you mail your documents and you specify that you are Sharon Tracy Gale Bay and this is your mailing location, care of location, it is their responsibility, regardless of what's in their system, to pass the port. These are how they overlaid processes over top of de jure lawful practices, policies over top of the supreme laws of the land. Because if I have a package and I send it to you and I give it to you to deliver to this person, it is none of your business who lives there, where it's going. You're passing the port based on the instructions, which is the mailing location, care of address, and the sender. They're not allowed to do the obstructions that they're doing. And if you have a certified scan, they are required by law to scan it. And they're not scanning it and showing the outside that it's been scanned. So they're trying to let you know, but I have pictures of every package that passed my port. Pictures of every package, who it was sent to. So they're holding it. It only takes 5 days, average 5 days for any package to get to any port in Morocco, the North Gate, Northwest Amexem. It only takes 5 days. If you have not received your package and it's been 5 days, meaning you got the email with the PDF, the day you got the email with the PDF or the very day before that, it was mailed in the mail. It was dropped in the box. And I take pictures of everything because of the obstruction of the employees that work at the post office who are getting directives from their supervisor and violating law. And here's the part where even if your so-called supervisors give you a directive and it violates the supreme laws of the land, you are going to be held accountable. There's nothing you can say. And saying that your boss told you to do a specific thing does not give you or absolve you from any injuries that you're causing. So right now you're causing injury to the Moorish American nationals because they're not getting their parcels. So what they're doing right now in the Philadelphia Distribution Center and the Federal Way Distribution Center and multitudes of distribution centers all around Morocco, United States Post Office distribution centers are seizing. They're seizing the packages and holding the packages. Unlawful. It is against the law. This is due process. This is me telling you, you're going to be leaned in your private capacity as an employee, as a person who is doing that. So if you're getting these directives and you're holding documents, or you see another postal worker holding documents, not passing the port, it is your responsibility to tell on them. Not only to tell on them, to stop them from obstructing. Because guess what happens when they mess things up for you? Guess what happens when they obstruct? Now you don't have a JOB. Now you don't have a JOB because you didn't stop that individual from violating the law. Because they're violating the law. When I put anything in that post office, that box, and it has a delivery address, regardless of what's in the United States Postal Services system as to where you are, they don't have the responsibility, they do not have the right to tell you that they can't deliver something. If it has an address, and if it has a mailing location care of address, without a zip or with a zip, if it's boxed out or not boxed out, they have no law supporting the obstruction, the tampering by putting postage paid, that's mail tampering. By putting a sticker on it, that's mail tampering. It is not your responsibility to touch or to manipulate or to modify anybody's parcel. It's called fraud. And family members, you need to contact those post offices. And this is the part where you have to be diligent. I'm doing my job. The consulate is doing its job. And contrary to popular belief, for the past 4 years, I've been sending postages the same way. And now all of a sudden, 3 months from 3 months, maybe 2 months, the obstruction is at such a high rate that no one is getting their postages if you go through there, if you go through the post office service. So do you think they should be leaned? Hell yeah, they should be leaned. Do you think you should start leaning your local post offices and the employees specifically within those facilities, even if they're melanated? Because if they are a corporate ward, they are violating. They're violating. And you need to stop the violations. If you're watching my classes, I am not playing when I say if you are a ward, you are a outlaw, a bandit, a terrorist. You're an outlaw. You're a bandit. You're a terrorist. Why are you an outlaw, bandit, and terrorist? Because you are putting policies and codes that are not lawful and that are not a part of the supreme laws of the land above the supreme laws of the land. So you are committing illegal acts. That's why you're an outlaw. You're a bandit because you think that just because your so-called supervisor who's paying you nothing because Federal Reserve notes is proof of fraud, it's proof of human trafficking because you're using monopoly money to transact business in your own land and purchase the very things that belong to you. And you don't know that you don't have to get up and go to a JOB. The land belongs to you. Everything, fixture, filing, house that's on top of it belongs to you. And all you have to do is claim it. What am I saying? The Circle 746, chapter 46 tells you, or 47, it's either 46 or 47, but I believe it's 47, tells you the dominions of Morocco, or our dominions. What we are the heirs, sovereigns to. that geographical location, that information should be in all your trusts. You should be claiming the whole of Morocco for all Moroccans, for all Moorish American nationals. You should be claiming those. Everything. Claim everything. Don't just claim your home, the land that your house sits on. Claim the whole entire thing. And don't just claim it for yourself, claim it for all Moors. So whenever you're claiming things, because we all are partners and we all are family, even though social engineering in the wardship status had gave you the false sense that the person that looks like you, that walks down the street, who you ignore, who you talk about, who you don't give $5 to because they are a bum on the street or they're homeless, that is your brother. That is your sister. It is your responsibility to help them. That wardship status has given you the thought that that person does not belong to your family and that you can sit here and just be ignorant to them while giving everything to Rome. How dare you not support your own people, but yet you paying your dead notes and your dead pledges to every freaking corporation on the land, to an Albion who doesn't even have status or authority here. Yes, of course, utilities as well. You own the pipes, you own the dwellings, you own the wires, you own the buildings that all of the plants sit on, you own the very things that are in them. Because they were all produced on your land with your resources, and you're not getting any compensation for that. What is slavery today, family? I'm going to tell you what slavery is. Slavery is thinking that you own something in your wardship status. You own nothing while you are a ward. Wards can't own anything because wards are property of somebody else. They're property, they're cattle. Look up the definitions, y'all. I'm not telling you what I feel, what I think. I'm telling you what I know. Therefore, I think. Right? So, the post office is obstructing. Moors, what are we going to do about that? As a nation, as the Moroccan Empire, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, the Moorish American Consulate. What are we going to do? What did we do in the past when corporations are belligerent? Did we utilize them? No, we stopped using them altogether. If you're not going to do what the law have required you to do, with your very oaths through the Declaration of Independence, you've pledged your lives, your property, and your ward yourself so you don't own anything. The only way you have any profitability and any so-called wealth here is through human trafficking. Your whole founding fathers, your whole organizational structure was built on the backs of the Moors, who supported you with establishing your own government here in Morocco, which you dissolved in 1861. So it doesn't exist. And because we weren't functioning as Moors in our proper capacity, because we wanted to play the corporate game with the wardship status, there was at one point no government in Morocco. There's one today. It has been one. You haven't been supporting it, but you're supporting everything else that's violating you and keeping you very, very in a subject status where you don't own anything, and it can be taken from you at the moment's notice. So the post office is obstructing. This is why our backup plan at the Moorish American Consulate is to scan them before we send them to you. And going forward, we want 3 copies to be coming. 3 originals. 1 we're keeping in the file, and the other 2 we're going to send. We need to figure out how we want to send packages, y'all. We need to figure out how do we want things to go. Because the corporate business is passing the posts, the fraudulent business where in their system they have your specific mailing location assigned to a corporation, which is your nom de guerre. That is what's in their system. You as the nom de guerre, as the mailing location. So now they're sitting here, when you proclaim and declare your Moorish nationality and you state your name, your appellation for the record, now they're trying to say, oh, it's undeliverable. So now they're trying to say, okay, this person is not in our system. That person does not have to be in the system. I do email them. It doesn't have to be in the system. That is the overlay, the corporate fraud. Because whenever you think about this, y'all, before they had all this technology and all this stuff, guess what? Whatever was put on that package, it went to where it was going. And the people, oh yes, that's me. was no database, no so-called database as to who is who and what is what. And okay, only this and this person is supposed to be dwelling at that particular mailing location. They don't have that authority to make that decision. That's called fraud. What you put on your package as how to get in touch with you, that is law. You set the law. You set the contract. It is their responsibility to pass the port to get it where it needs to go. And they're violating you, and they're violating me. Why? They still working. Because a lot of them are not getting paid. And they mad. And they still working and they not getting paid. Well, you wasn't getting paid when you was getting Federal Reserve notes. They just, like, look, we're going to just take the fraud away. Just get your ass here at 12 o'clock. Get your butt here. And you got to still go. And why you going? If you're not getting it now, first of all, Federal Reserve notes is not a payment of money. And they owe you that debt. Every corporation owes you that debt. Owe it to you. Right? And lawful currency, that's gold and silver coin. Lawful currency is gold and silver coin. It is not Federal Reserve notes. Federal Reserve note is a note. It's a debt note. It's not money. We have gotten comfortable with playing Monopoly in real life. We're literally playing Monopoly, y'all. So why don't you just go get a game? Take all those little pieces of paper out of the game and give it to the post office instead of the paper that they give you. Give them their own paper back. Like, here, take this. They're playing the game. Play the game with them. Right? So, there's other things I want to say, but when people obstruct, it is your responsibility to contact them. When I mail anything, I scan them, I email you the PDF version, and I tell you, here's tracking number. And when you go into the system, they're like, oh, this isn't. And then when you go to the post office, they're like, oh, this is not, no. Do I gotta give you the pictures too? I gotta load the pictures up like, well, this is what it looks like. It was mailed on this day. You have to have it in your system. Y'all scan everything on the back end. So let's see that. And I know that because the manager of the post office in Havertown provided that for me, because I was like, look, this never made it to where it was supposed to be. It was never tracked. Guess what? No, notes represent a debt note. A debt. It's a debt. And how do they pay you back? You're getting a debt note for the energy you're dispensing in the JOBs. When you acquire so-called property or anything, whether it's a conveyance or it's a domicile, they're using so-called debt notes in the so-called contract. Talked about this on Saturday. And they're holding you to a contract when they never gave you consideration. But you gave them an instrument, a monetizable instrument, which would have been a promissory note or an application for the so-called bank. Those are contracts. So the application for the so-called bank, plus with your signature on that promissory note, was what? It was the monetizable document they used to go to the bank and liquidate it. They liquidated it in lawful currency, but then they gave you a so-called mortgage, which is a lien on your property, whatever that property is. So everything that you so-called thought you bought under that wardship game, everything you thought you bought, you did. But because you're a ward, you can't have anything. You can only utilize them as black codes. Black codes, baby, is what you still living in if you still playing the wardship game. Now, because they tricked you to think that you were free, so you wouldn't say anything when you saw your brother getting shot down the street by a bandit, and you ain't do anything. Send me an email. Like, I have classes like every week. Tomorrow we have another class. Tomorrow we have a class. It's on it's supposed to be on trust, but we be having all these individuals call in, and then like this class starts at 7 o'clock on Tuesday on free conference call. I will post it, or I'll tag it to the group at the top, so you'll never have to ask me what's the free conference call for the class on Thursday. on Tuesday. The class covers multitudes of things. That's why I do the Saturday class. The Saturday class is actually at the Havertown Library in the conference room. I have that for local Moors that domicile near Philadelphia. All are welcome, because this is what I want to do. Our job is to decentralize, have consuls all over, as well as have leads all over, to make sure our business is not obstructed when the corporations is mad because they're about to be hypothecated back. Not hypothecated, because the hypothecated is the steal. It's about to be put, it's back in the place it belongs. Back in the place it belongs. Keep this in mind, family. When we were asleep as wars, they were supposed to be taking care of us, just so you know. And the only reasons why they had access to anything, they even got the service contract under the United States Service Contract Corporation, was to be doing right by the Moors. That means whenever we needed anything, they were supposed to be educating us. I don't know why we would allow someone that doesn't even know who they are or how to function as humans to be educating us. I don't know why we ever allowed that. So they educated you, they educated me on how to keep playing the war game, how to keep playing Monopoly. That's what they did. Is it their fault? Can we blame them? No, because mommy should have always been teaching baby who he or she is. Mother's first responsibility is not to be bringing slaves into this world. So that's our first sin. And how do we bring slaves into this world? By bringing them in here without their nationality and subjecting them to corporate ward status, subjecting them to slavery. That's what we do every day. We subject our children and we subject our family to slavery because we deny them their nationality. So mothers today, if your son, if your consort, or if your friends or if your families are sitting here telling you about nationality and you're denying it, you are in sin. Truth be told. Regardless if you want to put Christianity, which is just you aligning yourself with your ward status, that's sin. I am your sister. You are my brother. It is our responsibility to treat each other the way that we are supposed to be treating each other as family. And this warship status gives us the excuse for why we treat strangers better than we treat ourselves. Why we can sit here and see a profitable Asiatic business and don't want to support it because we think that we owe each other something, but yet you'll sit here and give all of your energy to foreign colonials that are just killing and destroying you inside, outside, spiritually. How do they destroy you physically? The medical field industry destroys you physically, as well as the foods that you eat, as well as the vaccinations you think you need, but prior to 1900, you never got a shot. You never needed, or 1800s, you never needed a shot. All of a sudden now you need like 1,000 shots. And you're getting them. You're literally letting them put poison in you and your baby's bodies. Are you competent? Should you be taking care of these children if this is what you're letting happen? No, you shouldn't. You shouldn't. This is why they take them from you when they feel like it and give them to someone else. But they're not giving them to someone else so they can treat them better. They're giving them to somebody else so they can make them a better slave. So that's one. Physical. How do they mess you up mentally? The schools? The schools don't teach you that you standing in Morocco, and if you ask any many Asiatics, where are you domiciled? They say United States. United States is not a country, it's a service corporation that has been hypothecating all the wealth of the nationals. So that's two. The educational systems. That's the mental. The physical is the hospitals and the food. Now, what is the psychological? Is that the entertainment? Is it entertainment to sit here in every so-called movie you watch is showing you as either a criminal, a prostitute, a vagabond, a homeless person, and while all the Abians are royalty, get the fuck out of here. Sorry. That's how they mess with your psyche to get you to think that these individuals have your best interest. So if I was a slave master, I would be doing that. If I wanted to control your minds, your bodies, and your spirit, I'd control all those industries. So when you go to school, when your children go to school during this time of year, when they should be celebrating their culture and the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, the American Constitution, and all the United Nations Lawful documents that were put out there is right there for you to grab right now. Can they pull you over? No, they can't. Declarations of the rights of indigenous people. People have the right to travel and go from and come back to where they domicile. And can't nobody put no corporate freaking process over that. You have a right to it. The international community told you, and the international community is the one that is supposed to be the so-called service corporation is answering to. But they're lying through the media, and we allowing it. We a part of it. You offer an average Asiatic 50 Federal Reserve notes just to make a bull crap video that is subjugating you. You'll do it for 50 Federal Reserve notes. You'll do it. I've seen the videos where Asiatics are doing things that, if their mind wasn't jacked up, they would never be doing. They'd behead people for even suggesting such a thing. Why do you think even in subjugation, you have high standards? Because you come from royalty. Because you are gods. Start acting like it. Raise your children that way. But the purpose of me coming on this live was, one, because the sun was beautiful and the weather was awesome. And I said, you know what? I ain't been outside in a minute. I like to be outside. I love to be outside. And I wanted to talk to you because it was beautiful, and I wanted to get me some sun. I wanted to get me some sun. So can a corporation who has a charter, let's talk about the charters family. Their charters tell them exactly what they have to do, and and part of those charters is the Constitution, contrary to popular belief. The Constitutions tell them everything. In the Constitution, they try to act like this is why. Start researching their charters. Their charters is their original authorization to do business. It always starts with the charter. The charter tells them, and they make their allegiances to even be operating as a corporation within any particular state. They have to align themselves with the Constitution of that particular state, obviously because they're registering with the state. And every state constitution, first allegiance is to the Constitution for the United States. The American Constitution, the Constitution for the United. There's a multitude of different ways they try to say it. But if you in Morocco and you doing business, that is your first duty. That is your first oath. We gotta hold them to those oaths, family. You took, in order for you to even be doing business and even to get a wardship status, because guess what? When you even get those corporate cards, you've aligned yourself with the so-called corporate state as a ward. So you've aligned yourself with the so-called state as a ward, and that state has specific charters, which is their state charter, which is the Constitution of that particular state. And at the preamble, the introduction to all the so-called state charters is their allegiance to the Constitution. Has to be. In order for them to even be associated or even be a state, you have to pledge allegiance to the Constitution. And why have all of these so-called corporations of all of these so-called states been violating it? Because we have not been holding them accountable. And it's time to hold them accountable. Not play the wardship game, not play the color game. Hold them accountable. And if they want to do business in Morocco, they have to realign. Just like we had to realign to our nationality, they have to realign, repledge. And until they realign and repledge, they are outlaws, bandits, and terrorists in Morocco, subject to deportation at will. Subject to deportation at will. Subject to deportation at will. Julius Malema, he don't play games. We don't pay reparations for those who never had the authority to do any of the things that they've been doing. And the only status that Albions have here currently today is service. That's it. And if you're not going to do your services, and you're not going to, and when I say services, I mean what you're responsible for. PICO's responsibility, Exelon's responsibility, Con Ed's responsibility, this is the electric companies, are to provide the electric lines to the house. Make sure they're functioning. Make sure they're working. Make sure they are doing the things that they were supposed to do, but they were never supposed to be charging Moors or any natural being for electricity. Because contrary to popular belief, none of those organizations or corporations own anything in Morocco, at Morocco. They don't own anything. They are a service corporation providing a service contract to provide electricity and manage that industry on love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And the justice part is based on the laws of the land. And the laws of the land through the Constitution tells you bills of attainder are unlawful. They shouldn't be sending you bills in the mail. But guess what? They're sending you those. Why are you opening them? Why aren't you attaching the writ to all Moors on the website to that so-called, outside of that so-called bill, and return it to sender? And email them, fax them, the heads at the billing departments. You ain't supposed to be billing me. This is a violation of the Constitution. You can be deported for this. Start saying that. I'm going to lean you because the Declaration of Independence gives me that right. You pledged everything already. You've pledged them, and you're violating at the same time. So Moors, what are you going to do? You're going to still let them keep doing that? Turning our shit off? We're going to keep letting them do that? Going into stores, purchasing our own stuff back? But we're not purchasing them because we're giving Federal Reserve notes, which is just a proof of slavery. You should be able to walk in any supermarket and get the things that you need as an Asiatic for you and your babies. You should never have needed to apply for any social services programs because you never needed them. You need to organize and come together in your communities and support yourselves and support each other. That means educating yourselves with your culture and taking them out of those bullshit ass schools that are denationalizing them and that are proof of slavery. And you can't sit here and say that you so victimized when you're sending your babies to victimize not only you but everybody else, because they're going into schools and they're learning nothing. They're not learning law. They're learning how to steal, cheat, and deceive. Educational systems is teaching your children how to steal, cheat, and deceive because they're not giving them knowledge of self, knowledge of the laws, and they're breaking them when they come out in those corporations. And then they're looking like, oh, my boss, my master, my boss, my master sent me here to shut off your electricity. Y'all think y'all ain't slaves? Your master just told you to do something that was against the law, and you're doing it. You're doing it. Towing people's conveyances, kicking people out of their domiciles, answering to an invitation from an administrator of a foreign corporation, claiming to be a judge, a law judge, claiming to be a court, going to those in those facilities. I mean, I can talk all day, but the purpose of me calling you is to say, hi, how are you? Ashe Islam. Happy, beautiful, beautiful Monday, moon day, day of emotions, day of divinations. And to talk to you about the post office. Philadelphia has been lean distribution center. Philadelphia post office, Upper Darby post office, soon to be Havertown, working on theirs now. Wards, individuals that have not declared or proclaimed your nationality, you're not going to have a place to hide. We are snaking you out of every hole and commanding you to align yourself back with your family. Commanding you to learn the supreme laws of the land. Commanding all foreigners to do the same. Align yourself back with your nation. If you have no nation, you need to be adopted in. And in order for you to be back adopted into any nation, you better repledge allegiance. And the first way you start repledging allegiance is to do the things that the supreme laws told you to do. Stop charging people for finance. Stop violating the very people you owe. You owe us. And I command you to honor those oaths, those pledges. And you start today. You start yesterday. But don't wait till tomorrow. Start today. Because ain't nobody going to shoot you. Ain't nobody going to do any of these things. unless you provoke that action. Then I'll comply. But like I said, everybody needs to follow the law, the supreme law. What are they? Declaration of Independence, 1776. Articles of Confederation, 1777. Constitution, Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786, 1787, 1836. Constitution for the United States, 1791. Those are the laws. Nothing new under the sun is a law, but we can hold you to it because you said it. But why hold you to something that you created now when we already have precedent, we already have laws, and then the international laws, the Vienna on consular affairs, the consular relations, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Child, human rights, indigenous people's rights. So you have all the ammunition, the fire you need to defend yourselves. And those international protections protect you in everything. And they help the supreme laws on this land. They help. They solidify. You have the right to everything that is here. The international, the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of the Individual guarantees you all of those things. They guarantee you food. You don't have to go get social services. The corporations are supposed to be provided for you. Because they are contracted, and you don't even want me to go there. Your homes. Can't nobody kick you out of your homes. And any sheriff that's trying to do that is no longer a sheriff because he had dissolved him of any responsibility, and he better stay the hell away. If he's going to violate you, he better stay the hell away. He or she. Policy enforcers are unlawful on the land. They shouldn't be here. Lean them all. Corporations were never, ever, 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 ever given the authority ever to create policy departments. They're policy departments. They don't have the authority to touch you more. And they know that. And let's just get them off the land so we ain't got to deal with it anymore. And we'll take only de jure sheriff companies can stay. Meaning you are protecting the people, not the corporations. The people in their national capacities. That's your job. Your job is to know the law and to make sure it's not violated by anyone, including self. So Islam family, Pax Satumora, with the post office, stand on your square. Send notifications to go on their websites, find out where you can send them. Do some research. Send emails, tell them all of the stuff. Put those tracking numbers on those emails. Don't send it particularly to those locations. Send it to the so-called consumer affairs. And whoever says that you're supposed to be paying Federal Reserve notes for stuff, lean them because they're unlawful. They're outlaw, a bandit, a terrorist. Islam, Pax Satumora. Peace and love.